Today, we're going to give you some tips and strategies. If you've got some great big savings goals and you're trying to figure out where exactly you are in the whole trajectory of moving forward on those goals, then we're going to tell you exactly what to do to gauge your progress. And along the way, we're going to give you some ideas on how to avoid one great big mistake that we made with the exact same thing. Stay tuned at the end of the video, and we're going to show you 4 areas of our budget that we've been trying to lower. We'll give you kind of a progress report and give you some strategies on lowering those areas of your own budget. Hi, I'm Hope.
And I'm Larry.
From Under the Median. If you're not familiar with us, well, we raised our 4 sons debt-free on an income which was consistently under the U.S. average income. And along the way, we learned to live with a spirit of joy and abundance on a budget. We always had 2 or 3 savings goals going on pretty much simultaneously at all times.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Larry, before we got married, how did you figure out how much savings you had?
Well, for one, I only had one savings account. It was a passbook savings account. When I put money in that account, it always gave you a total at the bottom. And that total represented my entire life's savings. And that's the number that I went by for how much I had in savings. Simple as that. It was simple. Okay?
Well, part of the problem was that didn't really represent his savings. It represented the amount of money you had available to spend.
Yeah.
That was pretty much the problem. All right. So this is a mistake that we have made. So we're going to tell you right off the bat that when we first got married, the biggest money mistake that we made was seeing our savings as one big, glorious, green pile of cash just yearning to be
spent.
Yes, and we did, a little too freely. Now, we were not looking at our savings in terms of any kind of goal, except that there was actually money in there, which we kind of went out, woo, woo, when we got to the end of the month, and we're like, oh, look, there's more money in there than what there was last month, so we must be doing okay.
Can I give one tiny example of how we did that?
Oh, please do.
Okay, so we needed a van.
I'm a little scared, but go ahead.
We had an old van, and it was having some trouble. The trouble was going to cost more than the van was worth, and that's when I replaced the vehicle, when the repair cost more than the value of the car. So I went out looking for a van, but before I went, I asked Hope, how much money do we have in savings to spend on a van? And she said a certain amount. Actually, it was about $17,000. So I went out and found a $17,000 van. Now, that doesn't sound like very much. You can spend a lot more on a van, but that was a lot of money out of our budget. And we bought it. It had low mileage, and it was 3 models old, and it was a good van. But it wasn't responsible, and we'll tell you why.
All right, we're going to tell you why that wasn't responsible, because we had the money, clearly, right?
Yeah.
Because the money was in savings. But what we didn't understand is that money really should have been allocated for some other future goals. So here is the tip that we're going to give you today. This is the one thing that you need to do to make sure that you're actually making progress on your goals. You need to make sure that you are totaling your expenses every single month. Now that seems pretty easy, right? You make $3,000, you spend $1,500, so you got $1,500 left to put in the bank. That should represent your savings, right?
Well, it should.
Wrong.
But it doesn't.
Here's why it doesn't. Because what you spent that month does not take into account anything that you should be saving for. What are the things you should be saving for? Well, your house insurance comes due once a year. Your car insurance comes due once a year, or sometimes it's quarterly. We really advise you not pay it once a month, because if you do, you're paying a premium to pay it once a month. So you got your insurance that's all due once a year. Well, if you pay your insurance in July, which is when we pay our insurance, in August, we're already saving 1/12 of the amount we will need for the following year. You know what that is? It's an expense. It's not money we're spending that month, but it's an expense because you have to put that money in the bank to get ready to pay that bill in 12 months from that month. That's what we're talking about. You have to remember to take into account all of the bills that will come due throughout the year, and you don't pay them every month. And this is a mistake that honestly we have seen people make when they come to us. They don't understand that those bills that are due only periodically, you got to figure out when they're due, divide it by the number of months you need to get ready to pay that bill, and then you save that money every single month. Now, when we were first married, we called this banked money. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
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 So every month I had our expenses, our basic expenses, food, clothing, shelter, all that stuff, right? Basic expenses, your utility bills, those are expenses you pay every month. And then I had, I think at the time it was like $285 that we had to set aside for future bills that weren't going to come due every single month. We called them banked expenses. You can call them whatever you want, as long as you remember that that is actually a part of your budget.
So let's break down the three kinds of money that are in your budget. First we'll just name them, and then we'll kind of break them down for you. So the three basic kinds are basic expenses, and that would be food, utilities, phone, gas, water, sewer, electric and natural gas, your utility bill. Then you have banked money, which Hope was talking about. That would be your periodic expenses. That would include, as she mentioned, life insurance, car insurance, home insurance, property taxes. The next kind of budgeted expense that you have would be your sinking funds. But a sinking fund is a fund that is fully paid for when you start out the year. So you've saved the previous year each month for each item in that sinking fund. So the categories for that would break down to clothing, gifts, Christmas money, eating out, and vacation. You might add some more. So the basic three kinds of expenses then are basic expenses, your basic running expenses.
Right, you can call that your four walls.
Right.
I think that's what Dave Ramsey calls it, your four walls. That's the thing you need: food, clothing, shelter, transportation.
Right, then banked money and sinking funds.
So once again, to recap, you want to avoid the one great big mistake that we made, and that was looking at your savings as one green pile of cash that's just meant to be spent. Instead, what you should do is make sure that every month you're totaling up your basic expenses and then adding in periodic expenses that will happen. We called it banked money, and we took those periodic expenses, divided them by the total of months that we needed to save for those expenses, and we added that into our monthly budget. And then the third thing that you need to take into consideration is saving for your sinking funds. Hey, if you're interested in learning more about sinking funds, we actually went a little more in depth about sinking funds in a video we did earlier. We'll link it up above and also in the description of this video. Now, we promised you at the beginning of this video that we would tell you kind of an update on the 4 areas of our budget that we have been working on. We're going to give you a little progress report and hopefully give you a few tips and strategies for you to be able to lower these same categories of your budget.
So here are the areas that we were trying to cut. And we have these listed on our Frugalized Budget Goals worksheet. Now you can get a copy of this worksheet. Hope will put a link in the description field, and it's free. So here's the first one.
Okay.
The first one was our utility bill. And the goal was to reduce the bill by 10%. Now, how did we do on that?
Well, we did well this month. We kind of set this goal because we got a notification that our bill would be $195. That was the estimate from the utility company. That was a little too high for us. We thought we want to try to make it lower. And so we actually set 6 steps that we wanted to take. And I have checked off in red the things that we actually did this month to try to reduce the bill. So we did try really to turn off things when they weren't in use.
That was the first item.
We did. We took extra light bulbs out. We went around the house, and if there were like 4 light bulbs in a fixture, we just unscrewed 3 of them and thought, well, 1 white light bulb is good enough.
And we made more effort to make sure lights were off
did.
in areas or rooms that we weren't using.
And then I did bulk cook. Now we have an electric oven, so that's why this is like really important, because the electric oven uses a lot of electricity. So I actually went into the back end of our account on the utility company website, and I pulled up our daily usage, and you can tell by looking at it exactly when I bulk cooked, because our energy usage shoots up on those days.
Oh, how
so
interesting.
yeah, so I'm going to show a graphic of that on the screen. If you are interested in learning more about what I do to try to cut utility costs, we actually have a lot of tips and strategies. Just tell us in the comments section of the video you'd really like us to touch on utilities. This is really, we want to serve your needs. So if you would like us to do a video on that, we're happy to do it. Just let us know that you'd like to know more about utilities. So suffice it to say, I used the utility company website tools to the best of my ability to strategize what we were going to do to lower the amount of energy that we were using. All right, so here are two things we didn't do. You can see there on the list. We really it was our intention, our best intention, to limit the use of our little electric heater. We kind of carry it around the house with us where we're sitting because our feet get cold. Well, my feet get cold. So we're going to say my feet get cold. And I failed epically.
I do this phenomenal thing called wearing shoes.
I do. I wear shoes. I'm still cold.
Okay.
Between everything that we did do, we actually lowered the bill. It came in at $155.
Hey, how about that?
I know, instead of $195. So that, I would say that was a win. So we scored a win on the utility bill.
Now, I think it would be apropos to say that this was for the month of December, right?
Yes, it was.
Month of December.
Now,
so cold winter month.
Our second goal was the water bill. What did we want to do for the water bill?
Well, we wanted to reduce the water bill by 10%. And that's a very difficult thing to do because we generally use about the same amount of water. So part of the strategy there was to time our showers and try to be more efficient about our time spent there running water. The other thing was to do dishes once a day. We felt that would use a little bit less water by doing it that way.
That was my theory. You guys tell me if you think I'm right. Now, we don't have a dishwasher, so don't tell us to run the dishwasher once a day, because we've never had a dishwasher, honestly, and we've never really wanted one either, so we do dishes by hand. But my theory was if we did the dishes by hand once a day, it would use less water.
It probably would.
I don't know. That's the only thing out of the four directives that we did, though.
Yeah, and we're trying not to let the water run while we're rinsing dishes. We run it while we rinse the dish, shut it off in between dishes.
So you can see out of our 4 steps, we only did one. And it kind of showed because the water bill went up.
Oh, it did?
It did.
Oh my gosh.
This is like, you guys get to see this in real time. He doesn't know what the bills were. Now I'm telling him in front of you all. Yeah, it went up like almost $2.
Oh my gosh. Where are we going to get that kind of money?
No, but see, the goal is to reduce it 10%. And so clearly we didn't do that. Y'all, we're going to be trying to do better on the water reduction. All right. So the next goal was the food bill. Okay, now. All right, so tell them what the goal was and what we did.
Well, the goal was to reduce it to $300 a month. So one of the things was to use the items that are in our freezer first. We got a big freezer out in the garage. It's full. So Hope had to go in there and use up some of those items. Yes. What was the next thing you did to help that out?
I did menu plan around grocery store markdowns. This was huge. I mean, huge. I got lots of markdowns, and if you want to see some of the menus, they're on the website, and I'll put a link to our menus in the description of this video. I have a whole bunch of 1-week menus. They're called $50 menus because it shows how we fed our family of 4 for just $50 for the whole week. So those are on there. That did very well. I bulk cooked a lot more, so that was good. I'm going to say we did not track leftovers any better than we did. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there not labeled. I've got to be honest. And that's one of our rules is don't put anything in there without labeling it. And I just looked today and there's a lot of stuff. Now, we've not thrown anything out either in my defense, but...
No.
Yeah.
Well, that's a future project.
Okay, like serve half and save, just put half of it back for later. That was my other strategy. I did not do that. And it really, you guys ate a lot of food.
We're hungry.
I know it. And
we're growing boys.
There was not enough left over for another meal most of the time. And planning ahead better, I'm telling you, it did not happen either. So, however, the food bill, are you ready?
Yeah.
Because he doesn't know this.
I have no idea.
Okay, so the whole month, the food bill was $140.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was
Wow.
a rousing success. Now, I'm not sure we won't keep up that momentum because we did use a lot of stuff out of the freezer, and we were pretty well stocked up.
We
so
were really stocked up, so we were pretty stocked up.
we'll let you guys know how this pans out.
Yeah.
All right, and so our final goal was gasoline, reduce it to $20 a month.
Right. So the idea there was to use our electric car more for trips around town. It's great for that. And let's see, have me get items on the way home. We didn't do that.
Do you want to tell them the truth about why I don't do that?
Do you have to? She's going to tell on me.
No, you can tell. Go ahead. You can tell them the truth. They are friends. You can tell them.
Okay, she'll give me a list of 6 items, and somehow I come home with 8 to 10 items. I don't know how these things just fall into the shopping cart.
Yeah, but the items are like chocolate chips and chips, and it's all
yeah.
junk food. So yeah.
Essentials.
Okay, so are you ready for the bottom line on the gasoline?
Bottom line?
We only spent $14 on gasoline in
Hey,
January.
all
So,
right.
all right. We did well on 3 out of 4 of the goals. Hey, if you want to see more of our personal budgeting journey, just let us know in the comments section that you'd like to see more of this. We're doing this because we hope that it's helpful and encouraging to you. Because one thing we want you to understand is that it's not a straight trajectory.
It's a learning process.
It's a learning process. For us, we still make epic fails every single month, but it's not about failing. It's about getting back up on your feet again and figuring out what you need to try and do differently in order to make progress on your goals. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, make sure, yes, give it a thumbs up, give us a comment in the comments section, and make sure that you join us next week, because next week we are super excited about this. There is one habit that we actually do that almost every single millionaire also does. It's a frugal habit. And so we're going to share it with you on the next video and encourage you to adopt this habit. So make sure you're watching next Monday when we will tell you what that is.
I can't wait to see what it is.
In this video, we're going to give you some... Take 5.
Okay. Sorry.
Glad you love me.
Late.